Hi, hello, it's Poppy here. Welcome to another personal finance video. If you're lucky growing up, you have probably heard this generic advice from people to save more money, but no one actually tells you exactly how to do it. And the reason I say if you're lucky is because in most households, personal finance is not a topic of discussion at all. However, it is a topic that is really important for all of us because at the end of the day, no one is going to help us financially and we can only rely on ourselves. And that's why personal finance is the topic that I really enjoy talking about and I enjoy sharing what I know. But first of all, I want to say that if you're struggling to save, you're not alone. Majority of the UK populations in their 30s actually saving around 9 to 10%. And if you're in your 20s, that saving rate is actually much lower. Now, of course, your saving rate will pretty much depending on your current situation. I don't really have any children, so in a way, in terms of cost-wise, it's actually saved me a little bit of money. However, I do live in London, which is considered to be one of the most expensive cities in the world. And with some knowledge, planning, and consistent action, I have actually been able to save right around 30% to 40% and sometimes even 50% of my income. Now, with the inflation being so high, cost of living is skyrocketing, and we know that a hard and tough winter is coming. My goal for this video is to give you some of the tools that you can work with in order to increase your saving rate during difficult times. First of all, when we talk about saving rate, let's just look at what saving rate actually is. So the formula is pretty simple, but at the end of the video, I will talk about how important it is to really understand this formula. But first of all, you need to add up all your take-home pay after tax. Secondly, you want to work out how much you're saving every single month, and that can include your contribution to a retirement plan, the saving for emergency funds. And if you divide your monthly savings by your total income after tax, then that is your saving rate. As mentioned before, that the average saving rate is about 10% here in the UK, but if you want to double that, then you need to be more strategic about it. It's not about just cutting down on any expenses, but you need to focus on cutting down your big three expenses: housing, transportation, and food. But in order to know exactly where you can cut down on these three big categories, you need to track your spending. And I know you've heard this before, and I know it's not sexy. So what would this look like in practice? I've been using this app to track my expenses called You Need a Budget, or YNAB, which is the app that I've been using for 5 to 6 years now, and it is the app that has helped us save for our deposit for this house, but it is a paid app. So if you're not looking to spend any money on buying a personal finance app, then what you can do is either you can record your expenses on the computer or write it down, whichever one you prefer really. I don't think there is any right or wrong way to do it. I am an accountant myself, so I do spend a lot of time on Excel spreadsheets, and that's the way that I would prefer to do it if I don't want to pay for the app. And in order to do it, I would just simply grab the bank statement in a spreadsheet format and categorize everything and then sum up the totals for each category. Another way you can do it, if you prefer to write things down, and sometimes I feel like that could be quite relaxing as well, then there's loads of templates that you can download either free online, or Etsy does have a good selection of nice looking spending trackers as well. And whichever way you want to do it, the whole point is just really to get an understanding of where your hard-earned money is going. The general rule of thumb is that your housing expenses shouldn't cost more than 30% or 35% of your take-home pay. Now for me, 30% is the rule that I have adhered to. Depending on your situations, if you're still in your 20s and you are considering leaving home, however, you feel like if you leave home now to find an apartment that you have to rent for yourself will push you above 35%, then you might want to consider staying home a little longer or find a roommate to share an apartment together so that you can cut down on the housing expenses. If you're in your 30s and you're looking to buy a house or an apartment, then I would recommend to really evaluate how much space you need. Most of the time we think we need more than we actually do. For example, when I was buying a house, I could have potentially gone for a little bit bigger place if I wanted to. However, that would push my housing costs to above 30%, and that's something that I didn't want. And it's not just the monthly cost, I just don't need that much space neither. I mean, I'm only 5'2", so the bigger house, the more you have to maintain, the higher maintenance cost it would be as well. In terms of transportation, if you're one of those that would need to drive into work, you might want to consider speaking to your employer and see if you can work from home more often. Most of the time, all it requires is an honest conversation. If you're someone that works better with fixed rule, you might kind of want to try the 50-30-20 rule, which means that 50% of your income should go to the things that are needed. For example, your rent, your mortgage payment, or your repayment for your loans or credit cards, or even saving for emergency funds. And 30% should go to the things that maybe you don't need but you want. So for example, your holidays, clothing, and dining out, and 20% on the things for the future, such as your retirement plan or for investing. But obviously you can adjust this split in whichever way you like. So for example, if you're planning to save 30%, then you probably need to aim for spending 20% of your income on the things that you want and then saving the 30%. I think it's also important to think of the saving rate in a more strategic way. At the end of the day, it's kind of like a formula game, because the formula in itself is simple. It's your saving divided by your income after tax. So with that in mind, in order to increase your saving rate, you practically have three options. And the first one is decreasing your expenses while your income stays the same. Now, second is to increase your income while your expenses stay the same. However, there is a third option, and this option will probably give you the best result if you want to increase your saving rate, which is doing both, reducing your expenses and increasing your income at the same time. Because the problem with just solely focusing on cutting down expenses is that you are going to come a time where you can't cut down your expenses any further, especially at a time where cost of living is so high. We don't really have much control of how things are being priced. We just have to accept the price that they are at. And I do understand that this concept is not easy, the concept that you have to think about doing both at the same time, especially on the income generation side. I myself grew up in an environment where it taught me to be very limited about my income potential. I didn't really have an abundance mindset, so my focus was solely on just saving and saving as much as possible. But just a simple shift in mindset plus some action, you can actually boost your saving rate rather a lot. And income generation side could be from many things. It doesn't really always have to be that you need to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs or always trying to find a side hustle. It could be something simple as asking for a pay rise, because I am sure a lot of us hates that conversation, or to have that courage to leave your current company to move to another company where they're more than happy to pay you more for the value that you can provide. I have to say that being 20s or 30s these days isn't easy. We're constantly being judged by how we look or what we wear, and constantly being compared with someone next to us, being on our achievements, jobs, finances, or even on our relationships. So that's why I think it's really important to understand your own value. I always remember this saying in mind that you can buy things, but you can't buy everything. So understand your own value and what is important to you will help you decide where your hard-earned money should be putting towards, and then you can cut down on the rest of the spendings. Those are not very important to you. At the end of the day, I'm not here to tell you to just not buy anything or just to not spending money at all. I am guilty of this myself. I do value life experiences. I do really enjoy food. From time to time, I do enjoy eating out, and that's where the majority of my money goes to. I'm not big on buying really expensive luxury bags or trendy clothes or even expensive furniture. So those are the things that I don't really spend money on. And there's no right or wrong really, or where you should be putting your money towards. And I know I just said to you to do a bit of soul searching activities, but I can promise you it is well worth it. If you enjoy this personal financial education video, then please do give me some loves by hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more from me. I really appreciate you watching this video today. today, and I hope you have a great week. I will see you in the next video.